Hello, my name is Chrisma Jackson. I'm here with the IEEE Women in Engineering International Leadership Conference, and I'm here to discuss the idea of leveraging idea crowdsourcing to create new opportunity space and leverage organizational diversity. An especially important topic while we're trying to lead through change, making sure we harvest and cultivate the ideas throughout our organizations and make sure people feel valued and part of the process as we're working through all of this. The journey to leveraging idea crowdsourcing for me goes back 3 to 4 years ago. When I first took this job as a senior manager at Sandia National Laboratories, one of the things I took a look at was how do we share innovation in a closed environment? When I talk about the example of in a closed environment, I might talk about the idea of classified environments in government work and or proprietary environments in a business entity, wherein an idea thrust or a true technological thrust might be held private or within a smaller group of people. But at the same time, you want to leverage ideas throughout your organization and throughout the larger entity. So how might you do that? One of those times when from the outside looking in, you don't understand what's going on, but from the inside looking out, it's really difficult to explain it. So with that, we decided to pursue the idea crowdsourcing route. A little different from traditional crowdsourcing, wherein a problem is placed out, possibly on the internet or some other more public locale. And from that, a large group of people have the opportunity to participate in that task or project by enlisting their services and putting their capability towards that task. It may be paid or unpaid, but regardless, they're able to put their capabilities towards that particular task. Unlike that, in idea crowdsourcing, instead, we reached out to a large network of people with great ideas to serve the mission or purpose we were going for. When we started all of this, we looked upon the ideas and the processes of Nathan Merfold. He's known as quite a great inventor and has a deep legacy at Microsoft Corporation. In particular, he says all technology starts as a spark in someone's brain. The idea of something that didn't exist before, that once they've invented it, brought everything into existence. It can change everything. And that activity is generally one that's not well supported early on. And that drove us to think, why isn't it well supported and how might we change that? That's a matter of perception. Making sure the inventor feels valued, that their idea is not being stolen from them, that their idea is cultivated, and that they have the ability to spend some time on that idea and really understand where it might go. How do we present that new reality and cultivate that reality and germinate those ideas? And how do we encourage understanding across missions, across disciplines, across people, and across centers or organizations within an entity? That's where we decided to pursue the crowdsourcing idea. Each crowdsourcing idea generator gets the chance for 15 minutes with a subject matter expert panel. With that, they have 5 minutes to make their pitch. That pitch is very informal. They can have slides, they can have a whiteboard and write their ideas on the whiteboard, or they could just in general speak. And speak to their thoughts, their idea, and where they think they could take it. One presenter described idea crowdsourcing as filling in fundamental gap needed by embryonic ideas. And the goal, quick turnaround to foster that innovation. So within that 15 minutes after that 5-minute presentation, our group of 6 to 12 SMEs, subject matter experts from across many different disciplines, mathematics, chemistry, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, material science, computer science, and data analytics, are all some of the disciplines we've included in the past. In that subject matter expert discussion, those experts have cross-disciplinary and cross-mission knowledge. They understand the business needs. And in the 5 minutes following the presenter, they take 10 minutes to have a discussion with the presenter to better understand their idea, to discuss within themselves, and to provide a warm environment to cultivate that idea and discuss how that idea might be directly applicable to business needs and mission areas. The key, that is the fertilizer that allows those embryonic ideas to germinate. Finally, after that 15-minute session, the SMEs get together and down select those ideas from those presenters. From that, 6 to 8 weeks later, there's a deliverable from the presenters. They're given a small amount of seed money to germinate that idea during that 6 to 8 weeks. That idea and that deliverable may result in a white paper, a proposal, some initial scoping calculations, or a scoping demonstration. But fundamentally, we know very early on, with little time invested, if that idea is going to pan out for these mission areas. So the whole point, crowdsourcing promotes belief in ideas and very quickly sends the idea one direction towards mission and germination, or sends it to be looked at for the presenter to reevaluate for resubmission. In one case, one of my peer managers discussed with me, wow, it's truly amazing what this presenter did with $10,000, what they were able to bring together and bring to bear just from others believing in their ideas. So following a year of investment, looking at crowdsourcing ideas, we saw 29 presentations. From those 29 presentations, we ended up with 19 funded ideas moving forward to white paper, scoping study, or to scoping demonstrations. From there, we ended up with each of these ideas investing somewhere between $2,500 and $25,000. That resulted in an overall investment within our entity of $200,000. That $200,000 resulted in 2 internal research and development projects. Each of those projects were 2 to 3 years, on the order of $300,000 to $500,000 of investment per year to increase the technology readiness of each of those ideas. In addition, another idea went on to get $1 million in external funding from its proposal and white paper funded through this particular idea crowdsourcing method. And finally, we saw one technology developed through this method that was directly transferred to the US government for direct implementation on existing projects within Sandia National Laboratories. And finally, one of the most exciting things is over 50% of the funded ideas through this process were outside our own division and the key innovators that are typically engaged. So 50% of these were new ideas outside of our normal review process. Going back to really focusing on this open communication and diversity of ideas. We truly were seeking to encourage understanding between disciplines, centers, missions, people across our entity. So with that, we had a couple interesting stories come out of this. Number one of our idea crowdsource presenters talked about that pitching this idea quickly to the committee without a lot of time commitment or effort, just a great idea, helped answer questions and tailor their idea for greater impact with sponsors. And this particular presenter was the one who ended up with $1 million in funding after a $20,000 investment. We also had lessons learned in this process. Early on, we had an amazing presenter, an early career gentleman who had only been at the labs 1 to 2 years. And he came to speak with us. He had a great idea in data analytics and was separated from the mission areas and the thrusts that we tend to have in national security. So he wasn't sure exactly how the national security area he was thinking about was going to directly benefit from the data analytics processes he was presenting. At the time, similarly, we had a smaller, that 6-person versus going up to 10 to 12 persons, committee member panel on the SME side. And so when he gave that presentation, and I was sitting in the room at the time observing, he gave his presentation, he spoke for 5 minutes, and it was the one time in all the committee sessions I saw and observed that the entire committee, this group of SMEs across our corporation, sat silent. Unlike that committee, unlike any other presentation we'd seen. And so with that, right after that silence, the Sandia Fellow, one of the highest ranking members of the technical community in our corporation, spoke up And he said, I know you're speaking English, but I didn't understand a word you just said. What we identify is really making sure we're speaking across disciplines. And so during that SME period of those 10 minutes, that particular gentleman, that data analytics professional, was able to interact and dialogue with the SME team. Number one, lesson learned, really understanding how we can work cross-disciplinary and get past the disciplinary jargon and into how we can all make a difference. But number two, we broadened our SME team to make sure we included a data analytics professional as part of our SME team. That also had us grow to other members, which led us to the 10 to 12 member panel we now have now. So fundamentally, crowdsourcing seeks to bridge creativity and organization and create a filter to mold ideas that may have a big impact, but need that mission grounding and reality. As we look at 3 take-home points, I want you to think about how you can create that opportunity space to blend minds and inspire new ideas. In this time of change, that's of the utmost importance. Everyone wants to make a difference and feel part of the solution. So how can we leverage everyone from the SMEs you have on site and those subject matter experts to the new hires who come into your organization with a specialized skill but do not understand the mission of your organization and where the biggest impacts can be made. Number 2, think about inspiring minds across the lab to develop solutions to the toughest problems you have to bear. And finally, those solutions planted seeds for internal research and development, external investments, and tech transition opportunities. There are many different ways to incorporate these ideas depending on the technology readiness and where they are in the process. With that, I want to leave you with the following quote. Creativity is thinking up new things, but innovation is doing new things. Thank you. And I want to make sure to close with acknowledging the Crowdsource Idea team at Sandia National Labs. In particular, our Crowdsource Idea Generator, who brought this concept to me in the first place, the core team who made this come to fruition in reality, and finally, the subject matter expert team. Without them, their warm nature, their banter, their interaction with these presenters, this would not have been reality, and it would not have been near the success it was. Thank you. Please, I'll take any questions.